Hello everybody, welcome back to C8 Corvettes in beautiful sunny Sarasota, Florida. It's your Corvette buddy Lyle here to talk to you about more interesting, exciting, and hopefully helpful Corvette stuff. In last week's video, we talked about the history of the collector car market starting in 2000 all the way up till today. And now today's video, we're going to do a little prognostication about the future to see what might happen next in the Corvette and collector car hobby. Before we get started on today's video, I just want to tell you guys about a super special deal that I'm offering. It's only on a handful of items, and those items are the Morimoto C7 taillights, but they are the C8 style taillights. Tony's got a picture of them here. I have a handful of sets in the red lens and in the smoke lens. I am not going to be carrying those in the store here physically, and these were things I was going to take to Carlisle, but we're not going to Carlisle this year, so I am blowing them out, brand new in the box, never opened, $549. Minimum advertised price for Morimoto is $700, and I am going to sell these for $549. When they're gone, they're gone. Link is in the video below, so if you've wanted or even thought about wanting these lights for your C7, you will never get them less expensive than you're going to get them from me right now. But when they're gone, so act quickly. So what do we think is going to happen in the next 5 to 10 to 15 years in the Corvette or the collector car market? Well, first of all, I think we have to address what I would call the Corvette demographic problem. We touched on this a bit in the previous video, in that the baby boomer generation was the driving force of the collector car hobby for the entirety of this century so far. Owners, clubs, auctions, price guides were all deeply influenced by enthusiasts who came of age during the 1950s to the 1970s. And basically, the collector car hobby as we know it today is largely the result of that generation's influence. You know, American Graffiti all the way to today. But things are changing. And as those people and as that generation exits the hobby, ages out of the hobby, or sadly passes away, the younger generations will be left with these cars to decide what we're going to do with them. And we're going to decide the value of these cars going forward. I think one of the things that you can say honestly is that we need to have a discussion about rarity versus desirability. Your car may be one of 217 ever built, but that doesn't guarantee a future demand for the car. If the car itself isn't a desirable make, model, color, engine option, whatever, rare doesn't mean great. So that was kind of very much a boomer-driven collector car market thing. You know, rare is rare and it's always worth money if it's super rare. The younger generation is going to be more interested in their own personal interest in the car rather than it's rare, I've got to have it idea. Production numbers only matter when a future buyer actually wants to buy the car. Moving forward, I think that the models that are most exposed, at least in Corvette, for declining values over the coming years are going to be restored C3s that are going to be not special cars, but fully restored regular cars. They're not going to be the $70,000 cars they were just 2 or 3 years ago. Anniversary editions, pace cars, low mileage automatics, all of those things that were prized by the boomer generation, younger people aren't really responding to those as much. I think if I was going to pick one thing that's going to be less valuable in 5 years than it is today, are the people who bought C5, C6s, and C7s that were normal cars and figured, oh, I bought an instant collectible. And they put that car away and it's got 1,200 miles on it and it's now 10, 12, 20 years old. I don't think that they're going to see the premium that they're expecting because they preserved it rather than enjoyed it, thinking they were going to make big money on it one day. But as we've discussed in the past, Corvettes as a whole are not rare cars. So that is going to be a very difficult thing to achieve in the coming years. On the other hand, the models that will most likely transcend generations and maintain their value are going to be the landmark cars with true beauty, competition history, cultural importance, or an exceptional driving experience. And that's really, really important because these cars in the upcoming generations, Gen X, millennials, we seem to care more about the experience of owning and driving the car than we do about showing it to other people. We want to enjoy the car for ourselves. And that is a bit of a change from the previous generation that valued originality, numbers matching, museum quality, perfection. We're less concerned about that and more concerned about having fun with the car. Other cars that I think will fall into the man, value is going to last on this one category. Early C1s like the 53 to 55 cars, if only for their cultural and historical significance. Split window 63s, of course. Big tank and big block cars. Any kind of amalgamation specials, ZR1s, Z06s, and other historically important racing derivatives. Those are always going to be worth money. I don't ever foresee a time until they somehow legislate internal combustion out of existence, those cars will maintain their value. So I've touched on this a little bit so far in this video. What about what I would call the emerging enthusiast market, the next generations that are moving into the buying power and the social population prominence to be the ones dictating the direction of the collector car hobby? What do we think they like? Well, judging from the young guys I have working here, and if you watch the video from the shop walk around last week where we met some of our employees, and these guys are in their very early 20s, they have C5s and C6s, and they're doing a bunch of cool things with them, but they don't really care about keeping them all original. And they want performance, they want cool sound, blah, blah, blah. I think that's the direction in general we're going to see this hobby go in. Younger buyers are going to value the C4s, not because they're a part of Corvette history, because they're a V8 sports car you can buy for next to nothing. And if you aren't going to follow the rules about keeping them restored and keeping them perfect, you can strip a C4 out and make a very fun track car in a weekend, as long as your engine and your transmission are all good. The C5 Z06, the C6 Z06 and ZR1s, those are definitely going to always carry a premium. Manual transmissions. This one's interesting. My son, who's 23, loves having a manual transmission. Half of the guys that work for me love having a manual transmission. There is some social cachet and some real joy about a stick shift for this younger generation, which I love. And I think part of it is they're harder to find, and being skilled at a manual transmission drive and also being able to find the car you want in it, it's a bit of a challenge anymore, because there aren't a lot of manuals out there, certainly not in newer cars. And I think that feeds into it for these guys. They like unusual colors. Andy's car, black with pink highlights. I would have never in a million years done that, but he loved it. And I guarantee the next car he does is going to be the same thing. Overall, for the next generation coming up, usability, enjoyability, and just general pride and joy in ownership and actually being on the road with the car is more important than Bloomington-style perfection. And I think that's the biggest change between the outgoing prominent generations and the ones coming in. Now, there is one little possible wrench in the works here, and that would be what I call the C8 disruption. The C8 is a fantastic car. It is the most capable, most powerful, most awesome car you can buy, sports car you can buy for the money anywhere in the world. I don't think anybody's going to argue that. But has it elevated the entire Corvette mark? I mean, is it just pulling up all the Corvettes from the past and showing what GM was capable of and the lineage and all that? Or has the C8 kind of separated from the heritage market that preceded it? Honestly, I think both could be true, but I think that the C8 is separate from the heritage market. And I think the reason why is this. The traditionalists, the boomers, the people who like front engine rear drive, because that's what a Corvette is, they have kept the values on C7s, especially Grand Sports and Z06s, really, really high. I mean, these cars are selling for just a few percentage points off what they cost new even today, because those people don't believe that the C8 is a true Corvette. They concede that it's a great car, but they aren't looking at that as their next Corvette to own. So what they're doing is they're investing their money in the newest, best version of the front engine rear drive platform that they can afford. That is keeping the C7s, I don't want to say artificially inflated, because it is legitimate demand that's keeping them inflated. But normally those cars would be selling for, you should be able to buy a Grand Sport for 40 grand, 45 grand. They're nowhere near that. So That demand for that market segment and from that generation is still very strong. So I would say that the C8 is not going to have the knock-on effect of dragging the value of all the previous ones up. It has kind of split and gone in a different direction, at least from my perspective. What do you think? So in sum, the way I see it, and again, I could be wrong. I want your thoughts. Corvette collecting is not dying. The Corvette hobby is not dying. I think that it is definitely going to be changing as people who are 20 and 30 years younger than the outgoing cadre of Corvette enthusiasts take over the hobby. You're going to see a lot more activity with the cars. You're going to see a lot more on-road driving, racetrack stuff, customization. I think the takeaway for this video is that the definition of desirability for a Corvette is changing from rarity, correctness, and low mileage towards experience, significance, design, and authenticity. And I don't mean authenticity as in all original, but authenticity as in authentic to the person who has owned, built, and customized the car. It's far more about personal expression and building the car you personally want with this younger generation than it is with the previous generation. So I think we're going to see a lot of cool aftermarket things coming to the fore to develop that market, because that's where these cars are going. I don't see the younger people keeping them bone stock because that's the way they were born. They're going to do what they want to do with them to make them their own, and I think that's absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please leave any questions or comments in the section below, and we'll talk to you very soon.